I've been absent for a minute. Lots of stuff happening. Hurt my hand, my thumb, sprained it, taking forever to heal because I can't ever stop using it. And I can't wear this all day. I wear it whenever I can, but and the weather has been not exactly pleasant. Just can't wait for spring. It can't make up its mind whether or not it wants to be here. One day it's 70, the next day it's 40, and super windy, so it hasn't exactly been enjoyable to be outside. So it's a little bit depressing, and I figured, why not make some cinnamon rolls? I have a little bit of a twist on it, and I'm gonna need your help. So let's get started. We're gonna start with a tablespoon of yeast. And I like to bloom my yeast first before I do anything else. That way, if the yeast isn't alive, I'm not wasting all those ingredients. I'm just gonna add a tablespoon of sugar to this to feed the yeast. We will be adding more sugar after the yeast blooms. A cup of warm milk. Make sure it's not too hot or you'll kill your yeast. All right, give this a little stir. All right, we're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes and let it bloom. And you'll know it has bloomed because it'll be foamy and it'll smell very yeasty, very good. All right, I'm gonna cover it up, just trying to trap the heat in there a little bit. You don't have to, that's just how I like to do it. And we'll come back when that's bloomed. Okay, this is already getting in the way. I can smell the yeast very well. Oh, love that smell. All right, so we're gonna need a teaspoon of salt. I'm reminded of Saltgate, which is a story of last summer. My mother came to visit for my 50th birthday, and I made her some cinnamon roll bites. That's another recipe that I'll have to put up for you. It's absolutely delicious, and I wanted her to try it so badly. And it calls for a little bit of salt in one of the parts of the recipe. And this particular salt cellar I have had for about 20 years, and it tends to come off very easily at the top, and I was tired and I was talking to her at the same time, and I went to open it and it tipped and the whole thing fell into the butter mixture that I was using on the top of all of the cinnamon roll bites. And I tried to clean it out as best I could. Obviously it didn't all come out. We ate it anyway. We'd take a bite. If it was super salty, we would spit it out. We tried to salvage as much as we could, but the best part of it was it was like a bonding moment with my mother, and we laughed harder than we had in years. So that was a great story. Anyway, all right, we have our tablespoon of salt, or our teaspoon of salt. Now we're gonna add in 6 tablespoons of very soft butter, room temperature. Throw that in there. 2 eggs, they're also room temperature. If everything isn't room temperature, it's going to cause the ingredients not to blend correctly. So we want to make sure that they're room temperature. We need 1/2 cup of sugar. Almost forgot that. I'm going to do just a tish less than 1/2 cup because I already added that tablespoon. And 4 cups of flour. Now it's times like these where I am extra super grateful for the mixer that my daughter bought me years ago, because there's no way that I could do this by hand with my injured thumb. And sometimes you just need a sweet treat. there's our 4 cups of flour. One of these days I'll get myself a proper container. Now we're just going to put this on the mixer. And we're just going to do it on low, very low to start with, nice and slow, so flour doesn't go everywhere. And we'll let that get incorporated, and then we'll turn it up to 2, and we will let it knead for 8 to 10 minutes until the ball sticks to the hook and forms a nice ball, and you can work with it. And I will come back when that's done. All right. Oh, that was pretty. Mixer did the work for me. More ways than one. All right. So you can see it perfectly comes off of the dough hook, and it's not sticking to my hands. That's the texture that you want, okay? So I'm not going to do anything else with this dough. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap and let it rise for about an hour or until it's doubled. And we'll come back and start assembling some cinnamon rolls. Okay. Our dough is about doubled. So it's time to roll it out and stuff it. Cut it. Hold this one on my lap for a second so I can do it better without hurting my hand more, hopefully. I need some flour. You always forget some. Always forgetting some. Okay. Just don't want it sticking to my board. Board's a little porous, and dough has a tendency to find its way into the nooks and crannies, and we don't want it to do that. Okay. Try this again. Oh, it smells so good. I want to eat it raw. Don't do that. I mean, you can if you want, but I don't recommend it. Just smells so good. It's almost like Play-Doh. All right, now get in a better position here. I'm going to roll this out to the size of my cutting board. I usually use my extra table, but that is currently housing my seedlings. So we're not using that today. That makes it a lot easier for me though, because then I can wheel underneath it. And I don't have to have everything on my lap and trying to awkwardly do this. If I try to do it up on the counter, then it's too high and I'm too far away and I can't get good leverage. And not complaining, just informing. Just letting you know why I do things the way I do. One day, hopefully, I would love to have a kitchen counter that I can wheel underneath and do my prep and things like that. That's the ideal situation for someone in a wheelchair. You know what I didn't do? I didn't make the filling. So here I am rolling this dough out with no filling to put in it. Because usually I mix up my filling first before I roll the dough out. But this time I guess I'm just gonna have to do it a little differently. Softened, very soft butter, a whole stick, because we love butter, okay? Lots and lots of butter. Butter makes everything better. All right, and then I just made some fresh brown sugar. I'm gonna throw in about a half a cup of that. You know, just throw it in there. And then a little bit of regular sugar. Just gonna do about a quarter cup. This all mixed up, and then we're going to spread it on the dough. This weather and this broken hand both have me not in the right headspace. Oh, my hand. And I'm getting hot. It's getting hot in here. Okay, and then behind me, on the stove, I am melting a stick of butter, a little more brown sugar, and I'm going to throw a little cinnamon in that too. And that is going to go at the bottom of the pan, underneath the cinnamon rolls. And we're going to bake them like that. That... Is this empty? Almost. That is going to caramelize because we're also going to add our other little secret trick, some heavy cream on top of the cinnamon rolls before we bake them. So all that gooiness is going to get gooey underneath the cinnamon rolls, which is where I need your guys' help. What should we call these? Because I feel like when they're done, I'm gonna want to tip the pan over, plop them out so that all the caramel goodness is on the top, right? So upside down cinnamon rolls? You know, like an upside down pound cake? Or see? Words, they're hard. Upside down pineapple cake. Is that right? Something like that. So if y'all want to help me with that, that would be awesome in the comment section. When these are done, of course, get a good look at them, and maybe you can give me some names, what we'll call it. For now, I think I'm just going to call them upside down cinnamon rolls. Or just cinnamon rolls until we figure out a better name for them. All right, so we're just going to spread that evenly. I'm sure you probably can't see what I'm doing. I apologize. I want to get this done, so I'm not going to move the camera. But we're just going to spread this evenly across the dough. I'm getting it all over the floor too. They say that a messy cook is a good cook, I guess. I don't know. All right, that's about as good as that's gonna get. I like to try to make sure I get it all the way to the edges so that it's, you know, incorporated through the entire roll. My mom and I used to make cinnamon rolls when we lived in Arizona when I was a kid. Very fond memory of spending time with my mother. Okay. Give these a good roll. Nice and tight. All right. So there's that. I'm gonna let that sit for a minute while I check on the butter behind me. I'm getting stuff, I'm getting things everywhere, all over me, but that's okay. That's melting nicely. Just might as well use the rest of that. Now, I'm gonna try not to recreate another salt gate. I'm gonna melt my dough over there. I'm gonna keep this over here. And I'm gonna bring the pinch to the pan and not put this over the pan like I did last time and ruin the whole thing. Just a pinch of salt in there. Elevate the flavor. Don't destroy the flavor by pouring I think it must have been about a 1/4 cup of salt that I poured in there. On accident, of course, I dropped it. Definitely don't want to do that again. All right. Now I'm just gonna pour this in the bottom of the pan. Get every little bit in there. I really can't handle when I watch videos and people don't scrape their bowls or scrape their pans. Each to their own, but I just personally can't handle that. All right, I feel like you're wasting so much product. All right. That's ready. Okay, now we're gonna cut these. Okay. That was a little bit off, but that's okay. We'll get her figured out. I have a feeling these are gonna be like a new terrible addiction. Probably going to be yours too if you make them. I claim no liability for anyone who ends up with an upside down cinnamon roll addiction. You're grown adults. Okay. These are going to sit for about 30 minutes. Covered up with a towel so they can puff up again while the oven preheats to, I believe, 350. I will get back to you on that, and I'll be right back when they're ready to go. Okay, oven is heated. Oh, rolls have puffed. Now, before we put them in the oven, we are going to pour a little bit of heavy cream over the top. I never measure this. I just kind of cover them slightly. All the way maybe? I don't know. I measure with my heart. That should be good. All right, 350 for approximately 18 minutes. They're probably gonna have to go a little bit longer because of the extra liquid, the butter and the heavy cream and all that. So we're just gonna keep a close eye on it. See you in about 20 minutes. Would you look at those? Got my little overachiever over here in the corner. Cut them a little too thick, but that's okay. Don't have to be perfect when they taste amazing. I'm very impatient. I want to cut into them right now, but they're too hot. But I could see the gooey bubbling up on the sides. I'll make sure I put it in the description, but the timing was way off because I forgot that my dough was colder because it's chillier in here because, you know, spring doesn't want to warm up, and they take longer to cook. So it took about 30 minutes total. I cooked them for about 20 without anything over them, and then at about the 20-minute mark, I just laid a piece of tinfoil over the top so that like this one didn't burn and the edges didn't burn. They are still a teeny bit underdone, but I like them gooey. I like them doughy. And so does the rest of my family, which is where these are all going, by the way. I am not going to eat all these. I will probably have one or two I purposely didn't eat all day today so that I could enjoy one of these, and I need to go on a diet, but until I'm able to get outside and get exercise, occasionally I need a sweet treat because I need those happy chemicals in my brain. Should I just dig into it? I'm just gonna dig into it. Let's take this side one here. I was gonna turn the pan over, but I don't have another pan big enough to put them in, and I don't want to make a big mess everywhere. And we can always scoop the caramel out of the bottom. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, see, look at that. That. This should be illegal. Yeah, we're just gonna give it a try. I'm impatient. It's hot, but I gotta try it. I like them when they're hot anyway. That's when I think anything is best, baked-wise, especially fresh bread. There's nothing better than a fresh loaf of bread. Cut into it when it's still hot, put some butter on it. Let's give it a try. I really don't want to burn my mouth. I won't be able to taste anything for a week. Might be worth it though. The nummy dance. My daughter used to do that. Called it the nummy dance. Oh. You guys, make these. Make these. Even if you only have one for yourself and give them away. Make these. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Have a great day. It's a cup of sugar. In my case, I'm using cane sugar, but obviously you can use just plain white sugar too. For light brown sugar, it's a cup of sugar to a tablespoon of molasses. For dark brown, it is a cup of sugar to 2 tablespoons of molasses. And then you just mix it together. I usually use my stand mixer for this, but I'm only making a small batch at the moment, so I'm just going to use my hand. It takes a little bit of work, but eventually it will all get incorporated. And there we go. Now I just made 1 cup of homemade brown sugar.